Good morning, folks. I hope you're having a nice Wednesday. I hope you caught Daryl live there earlier today, this morning. Hopefully you can see and hear me here. Turn on my video. But I'll be bringing up Ted and a special guest this morning. Daryl's internet is a little choppy, so you're stuck with me for this intro. But Ted, I'm inviting you up, as well as Victor. But let me know where you're all tuning in from, and if you caught Daryl speaking a bit earlier about Instagram. There's a great video about the new algorithm and what you should be watching out on Instagram for, posted by Jordan. There you are, Ted. Hello.
Okay.
Awesome. Good.
You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah. So how are you doing, Ted?
Very good. Very good.
Well, I'm bringing up our special guest here, Victor. Victor, I just sent you a invite to speak. And if you don't see that, just let me know in the chat. Hey, Sue. Hey, Antonio. Hey, Jess. Hey, Sonia.
There we go.
Hey, all right. I was like in limbo. I clicked the link and then I couldn't open it. I couldn't see you guys. I was like, I was just there.
It's technologically.
I know.
I mean, technology, whatever it is.
Fuck technology.
So I want to I want to frame this conversation for a moment. Good to see everybody here. Morning, Cam. Morning, Jess. Morning, Michelle, Jordan, Sue, Spence, Sonia. I saw that Victor was at NAMM from a post that he did. And I wrote him on Friday night saying, let's get together Saturday morning. And I agreed to meet him, I think at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And at 9:30, I was walking over to the NAMM Convention Center, the Anaheim Convention Center. And I met a guy from NAMM who saw my t-shirt and said, what is that? Next thing you know, an hour and a half later, I'd finished an interview. Turns out he was the NAMM oral history archivist. So we did a 90-minute interview on, I've been going to NAMM for 30 years and off and on, not every single year, but most of them. And so it just got into stories of who was at which NAMM and what was the best time. Meanwhile, Victor's texting me all during this going, I'm here, where are you?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, but, my side of that story is Ted called me. He's like, here at NAMM, let's get together. And then he never showed up.
Anyway, was this your first NAMM?
It was my first NAMM. It's freaking awesome.
So why don't we start? So Victor, first of all, a little bit about you, what you're doing currently, and it's even more benefit to everybody of how did you end up where you ended up?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what was your first gig? And this is hopefully your last home.
Well, yeah, hopefully my last home, but hopefully not my last gig. What was my first gig, like, you mean ever in life? It was,
in music.
Sure. Well, I mean, but ever in life, even, it was singing. I realized, I love singing. Ever since I was 2 years old, I got my first guitar. My second birthday, or my mom got me a bicycle and my dad got me a guitar. And I was already running around. And my mom kind of remembers, like, you never touched the bicycle at all. Super expensive, but you just played the guitar. And so, like, I kind of just, loved playing, loved singing. When I was six years old, we moved to Canada from Brazil. And that was my first gig. It was singing kind of at parties. People would hire me to be the entertainment at their parties. And with my dad, we'd play guitar and sing and kind of do little covers and entertain the people. And that was my first kind of time making money for my time, let's say. And I did pretty well for myself, I must say. And I raised some money to buy better guitars, better equipment, better instruments. I bought a drum set, which my mom loved back in the day. But I just what
was your first cover tune that you remember?
Oh man, so it was probably a Brazilian song, especially here in Canada. It was a song called "The Day I Left Home." I'm translating from Portuguese, but it's a big song among the immigrant communities. But it talks about kind of like, the day somebody left their home for the last time and remembering their mother's face, of being sad but being happy that my son is, or my child is, moving on to the world. And it's a cool story. It's reflective of my own story. My mom always told me, look, son, you don't have roots. I'm not raising you to be a tree. I'm raising you to be like the wind, you know, go and figure out the corners of the earth.
Yours is a lot nicer than mine. My parents just changed the locks. I came home one day. I couldn't get in, so that was the momentum to get me out of there.
It's good that you took the hint, though. I would have thought you would break in through the window.
I'd come home from school and find they'd moved again. So you moved to Toronto?
Yeah, we moved to Toronto, 2001.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a totally different world, man. I remember just seeing greenery, like parks every now and then. We were in like by like Dufferin Mall, like Dufferin and College area. And just like the fact that there's trees, the fact that there's like parks that you could just go. I remember the most amazing thing to me is like there's parks with soccer nets, football nets, and they have the actual like screens on them, and anybody can come at any time and use it. And I remember thinking like, why are these always empty? Like, but I think what struck me the most about Canada was like, man, this nature where it's kind of all around us. And I've always had this appreciation for nature. Being able to go to the lake and see that has really helped me to, I guess, connect with myself. And then music as well. Like music was what helped me to learn English, for example. It helped me to not commit the mistake. I remember I was reading this word in grade 2, and I was like, I wasn't sure what it was, but then I recalled a song that I heard that had a similar word, but the word was stomachache. And me as an 8-year-old reading it, was stomachache. That's what it looks like to a non-English speaker, like stomachache. But through music, you get to learn some culture, you get to learn pronunciation, you get to learn the slang, and that's what helped me tie both of my cultures, you know, the new kind of Canadian culture with the old Brazilian culture, maintain the roots. And, you know, music's been, I would say, a superpower for me. It's helped me connect with people. It's helped me feel at home. And so in 2012, I graduated. I had done a degree in sport management. So I was working at the Raptors. My dream was to be in the NBA. And I got it. I got the job and kind of the gig that I dreamed of, but kind of realized I wasn't as fulfilled as I thought I would be. And, you know, had music always in the background, always played at family gatherings, always doing little gigs on the side.
Were you in a band in high school?
In a couple different bands in high school. Yeah, never really any farther than jamming, to be fair. Like even the shows, even the gigs we would do, is just kind of like, do you guys want to rehearse? Like, no, we just kind of want to show up and just play some songs.
Yes, and they became the Sex Pistols. Yes, right.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, we don't want to rehearse. We just want to show up.
Well, before I left, we were the Sex Shotguns. So when I left, they had to become the Pistols.
So you're at the Raptors.
So I was at the Raptors again. It should have been my dream job. Should have been something that, like, you know, fulfilled me to the highest, and it did. But what fulfilled me the most was dealing with people. I had the opportunity to be on the court and meet a lot of the players, and I was like, ooh, I like this vibe for sure. Like coaching, teaching, being close to people. Something I missed in music, like I said, getting together with the guys and jamming, like that connection that you create when you don't really care. Like, I don't really care what you do, who you are. Like, we're just sharing a moment that's, like, you know, transcends words, transcends the languages that we speak, transcends our background. It's just us. Go ahead.
I turned off. I muted. I turned off the light behind me.
Oh, that's wicked. I noticed that. I was like, dang, you got technological.
Okay, so Alexa, well, here we go. Alexa, turn Barry on.
Okay.
Alexa, turn Barry off.
Oh, Barry is his name. Very cool.
You'll love this. Alexa, turn Target on. Alexa, turn Target on.
Ooh.
Alexa, turn Target off. Okay, back to the real world.
Oh, sorry, Jordan. You're triggering Jordan's Alexa. Oops.
Yeah. Oh, did I trip somebody else's Alexa?
That's funny.
Yeah. I love it. So you were saying, I'm sorry, go ahead. I tried to, you wouldn't catch me, but you caught me.
I caught you. I'm perceptive, Ted. Sorry, where was I? Right. So I just missed that kind of human connection. And you know, through kind of roundabout means, I was playing at a band in university here in Toronto. So I went to school in St. Catharines. I was busing back and forth on weekends to play gigs. and that's kind of how the opportunity for LyricFind came about. You know, I did a year at the Raptors, and I kind of started seeing the writing on the wall. There's a lot of people vying for jobs, and so if you want to make it somewhere, you kind of have to take your lumps, as it were. And not that I didn't mind taking my lumps, but I kind of thought, is this really what I want to? Is this worth taking my lumps for? Is this something that I want to build towards? I think the world kind of showed me like, no, this isn't necessarily my place. But when I, you know, got the role at LyricFind, and now this new kind of role at LyricFind where I'm able to kind of talk to the industry and travel and connect with people on a one-to-one level, like that felt to me
Well,
like
how did you find LyricFind, or how did LyricFind find? So you went from the Raptors directly to LyricFind?
from the Raptors, I had this kind of job, not door-to-door selling, but selling these luxury screen doors. Um,
Okay.
and I was doing like Raptors, like helping with the draft workouts, and then doing the screen door job on the side.
Right.
And then my mom came into my room one day. I remember this was back when I was still living with my parents. She was like, "Hey, I found this job that I think is literally perfect for you. They want someone who knows music, who speaks Portuguese and English fluently, and you know is passionate about music." And so I was like, "All right, cool." I applied for the job. Didn't think much of it. Again, it was kind of like, okay, this job will hold me over until I can find something, you know, more career oriented, let's say. And it was funny enough, on the way, like the interview to LyricFind, I remember same office that we're in now. There was somebody who jumped on the subway, so the subway was delayed, like
Ooh,
stupidly delayed. And I
ooh.
didn't, and at the time, the manager of the content team, like I didn't have his phone number. I didn't have access to my email because we were literally stuck on the subway. I remember I showed up like an hour and a half late to this meeting or to this interview, and I was like, dang, I definitely did not get this job. Like, I'm gonna show up anyways. Like, I'm sorry I couldn't tell anybody, but like, there's no way I got this job. I'm just gonna show up and, you know, work on my skills, my interview skills, just kind of shake off the rust. And I came in, we had a really good conversation with the manager. He kind of took me around the office. I remember a cool vibe. They had a pool table and people were having fun. And Ted, before I got home from the subway, I had 3 emails from the hiring manager. Hey, we'd like to hire you. And like 8 minutes later, when can you start? And then 12 minutes later, 5 question marks.
And what year was this?
This was 2016, August
Okay.
2016.
Okay. So 9 years ago. So just as background, in case anybody doesn't know what LyricFind is,
Right.
I have a real attachment to Canada. I've been coming up to Toronto for, this is probably the 30th year. I started going to Canadian Music Week. And in 2003, at Canadian Music Week, when it was at the Harbour Castle, which it was back at this past year for the last time, a young guy walks up to me and says, "Hi, I liked the speech you gave a little while ago. My name's Daryl Ballantyne. I'm going to University of Waterloo. Can I come intern for you?" I was working at EMI in LA at the time, running digital business development. And we had lunch, I think that day or the next day, and we talked, and I said, "Sure, come to LA, you'll intern for me." And he came, and I thought it was 6 months. He said it was 3 months. Felt like 6 months. And he interned in business development, and then went back to Toronto and started LyricFind. Called me a few months later and said, "Would you like to join the board?" So I've been on the board of LyricFind. This is my 21st year. And I've watched the company grow from Daryl and Mo and Chris and a couple other people to, what is the current headcount there?
Oh, it's got to be 103 plus. Yeah.
Okay. You know, and it's just been very gratifying to watch the company grow. And I, fortunately or unfortunately, I come in for like a 3-day run in December, and I'll see Victor and I'll see Colleen and there's certain people in the office that I've gravitated to, but this is the longest conversation today we will have ever had.
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, I remember maybe 2 years ago we were talking over salad, but maybe that
Yeah.
conversation, yeah, maybe a good 20 minutes. So it will be, because we were talking for 15 minutes before.
So this is, and I also want to say, I mean, look, this has been watching the company grow for me has been just it's been a love story, and I mean that literally. So before we go any further, this is not meant to be an infomercial about LyricFind, but LyricFind has been a bunch of young guys in a dorm that had an idea, and every discussion when you talk about the fact that they were hiring you because you spoke Portuguese, you know, to work on translations and stuff, right?
Among other things, yeah. I'm basically transcribing Brazilian rap, hip hop.
Right. And so that's a good one. I remember a very volatile, very mercurial dinner with me and Daryl and Mo, and we're arguing over, do we hire some people down in Sao Paulo to translate, or do we build a team in Toronto? And Mo was very intent about he wanted the team to be together, and he wanted anybody that was working on translations to interact with each other. And again, it was like building this community. So when I didn't show up to see Victor on Saturday, and I called him 2 days ago to apologize, I said, why don't you come on the show and talk for a little bit? So this was very impromptu, but
and I thank you for the invite, by the way. And it's interesting, like, I guess not to derail it, but I'd love to hear kind of, I mean, especially because I, as a student, have heard the same thing, like, oh, walk up to people, introduce yourself, and tell them what you're after or what you're looking to build. And I, as a student, I mean, yeah, that's great advice, and it's probably advice I would echo today. But now I'm older, I have a little bit more experience, a little bit more gravitas, let's say. And I guess the main difference, Ted, I feel like I have more to offer now. I mean, I've shown that I have more to offer than as a student. It's like, well, it feels weird because there's a power imbalance. I'm literally just asking you for something, right? And so, what was it in Daryl, and what can students take to reach someone like you?
It's a few different people. First of all, I've always had an open door. I need a sip of water.
Except for right now when the doors close and your cat's trying to get out.
You hear the cat in the background?
Yeah.
Hi, baby. I forgot to give her a scoop of food before the show.
Oh, no.
Starve, you little. It's a Thai restaurant.
She'll make do for an hour.
Yeah, she'll make do. I've always had an open door thing where if somebody emailed me or called me and said, hi, so-and-so said we ought to get together, I would do it. And whether it, was my girlfriend or whatever, I would say, I'm having lunch, like one is a guy named Pasquale Totoro. And Pasquale has a company that makes this. It's called Oddball.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I showed Oddball last year, but Oddball is a MIDI Bluetooth controller that when I tap it, twist it, throw it, you can link it to different MIDI channels. So you can use it as a percussion instrument. You can use it almost like a guitar. Anyway, I remember, if you remember Maggie, I said to Maggie one day, I'm going to have lunch with this guy, Pasquale. And she goes, what does he do? I said, I'll find out when I get there.
Nice.
She goes, why do you get together with people that you don't know? I said, I really enjoy, the email was concise about, I have something that somebody told me you might be able to help us grow the market for. And we went and had lunch. I've now been on the board of the company for 3 years. I'm seeing him tomorrow. I brought Max Fink, who is the son of Matt Fink. Matt was the keyboard player in Print. I'm managing Matt's son, Max, because he said, do you know an artist that could write music that features in the demos? There's an app. If you go to Oddball, there's an app that says, twist it, throw it up in the air at different points. Anyway, the point is, if someone is reasonably, would you stop? I gotta hang on. I'm gonna give the cat. Tell a little bit more about it. I'll be right back.
Well, she's asking you what's up with the open door policy. What about that, Ted? No, it's interesting. Like Ted has this certain gravitas about him where he's been you could tell like he's been in the industry for a long time, and I think what's different, I guess, what struck me immediately, first of all, he seems crazy loopy, which I think he is, but I think that's what sets people apart in this industry. We're all here because we're kind of crazy loopy. Like if we were rational, we probably wouldn't be in music. And what sets Ted apart is like he doesn't need to be one of those people that needs to throw it in your face, like how much he knows and what he's done. It's like what I imagine like meeting Bruce Lee. Like he doesn't have to tell you that he could kill you with one punch. Like he just exudes that. He just kind of like emanates that. And on top of that, he doesn't have the ego. Again, like I probably wouldn't take a random lunch with just anybody without knowing like, what potentially we could be discussing and how, if I can even help them, right? Because sometimes, our hands are tied and you can't really help people. But um, yeah, that's Ted. Like that's the vibe that he gives off. And the second thing immediately was the shirt that he was wearing that said, "Welcome to the music industry. You're fucked." And I was like, "Damn! Like tell it like it is." Yes, to be
What?
honest, very much so, aren't we?
What'd you say about welcome to the music industry?
About the T-shirt that you wear. Well, I said a lot of terrible things
Oh,
about you, Ted. So don't
okay.
worry about
Well,
it.
what's really funny is, so the T-shirt is from a guy named Martin Atkins, who was in a band called Public Image, who I
Nice.
toured with. Oh, I was on the road with in 1981 or 82. We always argue about which year it was. Anyway, we've been friends ever since. He has a website for the music. It's the Post-Punk and Industrial Music Museum.
Okay,
So he did this T-shirt. Welcome to the music business. You're fucked.
that's a great
I
one.
showed it to a guy that I met at a food fair in downtown LA. His wife makes ceramic coasters, and he took a picture of the T-shirt. I now have these.
That's the one. Yeah, yeah.
He made up a bunch of them.
Well, you have
Martin is.
one. You have one you showed me too. Don't be an asshole.
Oh no! Don't be a dick. Just don't be a dick. I mean, anyway, I'm sorry about. I fed the cat and locked her in the room. I've always had
No,
this
I was.
open. So I've had the open door thing. I will
Yeah.
tell you. I met probably about 10 or 12 years ago. I met a guy walks up to me and he says, actually didn't walk up to me. Deep breath. Maggie and I are walking around Cannes at 3 in the morning. And did you get to go to meet him?
No, not yet.
Okay.
One
There's
day.
a thing like Croisette, which is it's like walking on Yonge Street, but the ocean's on one, the Mediterranean's on one side. Saskia, hi. We're walking along and these two guys come up behind us and they start rapping. And we're walking and they're rapping behind us. And I finally turn around and I said, sounds pretty good. And one of them says to me, yeah, Farron said to find you and to entertain you. Farron McKenzie was a guy who worked for me, again, about 10 years ago, who, after he left, he's now running BBC's Urban Channel in London.
Dang.
So I've ended up incubating some talent over the years.
And those two rappers, Biggie and Tupac. Those two guys.
Not Biggie and Tupac. It was, I won't bother throwing the picture up here. I could pull the picture up. It was Dio Gibson.
Oh, okay.
So it was Dio.
Nice.
So then a few years later, Daryl and Mo and everybody took an apartment rather than staying in a hotel. They took an apartment right off the main drag. And we're there. We basically had an all-nighter. And if you ask Roy, he will tell you at one point, Roy Henning is one of the out of the box characters at LyricFind. And he's also head of sales. He jumped on top of me on the couch. He literally did a WWE wrestling move.
Whoa.
We get up in the morning, we drive to we drove to Nice. We go to the airport in Nice, and I'm going to go through with Mo and Daryl. up to the gates. And when I get there and I show my boarding pass, they go, well, your flight's not in another 2 hours. You can't go through security yet. You have to wait down in the other side of, the public side. So I'm there waiting, and DL walks up to me and he says, I want to play you my new song. And he starts to put a pair of headphones on me. And I went, okay, fine. I put the headphones on and I'm listening. And finally, I go to take my headphones off and he goes, no, not yet. And then all of a sudden I go, are you effing kidding me? So if you will indulge me, this is the only way I can think to do this.
Right.
Call me for a second.
Oh, okay.
Let's see if this works. Please forgive me, everybody. If you start to leave, I'll understand. But this is what happened.
Is that your ringtone? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I made it into my ringtone.
Sorry for the spoiler.
Come on. Let's try it 1 second here to make sure I've got.
That makes sense why you never answer my calls.
Off. Okay, go ahead. I had everything muted. One more time. This technology stuff messes me up. Okay.
There we go. Makes sense why you never answer my calls, though, Ted. There's...
It says, ask Ted Cohen, he can show the evidence. Ask Ted Cohen, he can show the evidence.
Oh, dang. Okay.
What did you do? He says, I put you into a song.
That's sick.
So I come back from France and I play it for Maggie. And I should say, we're not together anymore. I play it for Maggie. And she goes, wow. And I went, I actually impressed her. Then I turned it into that snippet. I turned it into my ringtone.
Nice.
She hated it. Every time the phone went off, it was ask Ted Cohen, he can show the
Nice.
So I see Dio every time I come to Toronto. We go over to Brim's, which is a hat shop in Kensington. Is it Kensington?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
We go over to Damien's hat shop. I usually end up buying a hat. Dio arrived in LA, I think yesterday. I'm supposed to see him later tonight. He's throwing some type of Canadian artist meetup. I don't know if it's a party. So I became friends with Dio. I became friends with Daryl. There's a guy named Mo Hamza. Have you met Mo?
No, I don't think
Mo
so.
was in a heavy metal band in Beirut, Lebanon. He was at Meet 'em in 2004. We've now been friends for 21 years.
Dang.
He ended up being head of Warner Music in the Middle East. And a friend of mine one night wrote me one day and said, I'm coming to meet him. Put together a dinner of people you think are cool. And I had Daryl. I had Armo. I had Mohammed, who is the co-founder of LyricFind. I had Dio. Basically, I put together a dinner of people that I'd met over the years at Meet 'em.
Nice.
So I really enjoy, connecting people with people. Coming up every year for the party is great, but I don't know everyone, and it's grown. So I don't know if you notice, I'm kind of a wallflower at the parties.
I have noticed that, yeah.
I kind of just hang in the background because this is the party for everybody that's worked together all year pretty much in the same place. I don't have that commonality to go, hey, remember the time a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
So I try to be as accessible as I can be without feeling like, I'm going to my son-in-law's parents' wedding anniversary party.
Yeah.
Hi, nice to see you. I'm out. Anyway, why don't you talk a little bit about what you do now? Because as I've explained to you, DIT community is about everybody helping everybody and helping them grow as artists, as people that might want to be in the business side of music as opposed to the artist side. But there's a lot of things that I say we, when I'm proud of it, I say we. that we are doing at LyricFind that I think helps artists and helps grow the business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for the good little tee up. Should join our softball league, or our softball team at the very least. Yeah, LyricFind. I mean, I do a whole bunch of stuff, right? LyricFind being one of the main things right now that I'm focused on. There's a couple ways. So LyricFind helps artists get the visibility for their music, right? In a few different ways. One is having your lyrics findable and searchable on sites like Google, Amazon Music, Deezer, TikTok, Pandora, what have you. LyricFind provides that kind of service for an artist that, you know, back in the day, there's no, I mean, you of all people know there were so many gatekeepers. There's no way to kind of get your music to the masses like that and to make it searchable on Google and to make it so that when somebody hears it, when somebody hears you busking on the street, they can remember, what was that guy saying? He was saying this. Oh, cool. And now there's that kind of connection, right? And another thing, I guess, that's even cooler that I think LyricFind does is we're now working with a company called Rotor Videos that's out of Ireland. It's just a marriage of, like, you know, really cool, innovative tech companies. But what Rotor Videos does, it amplifies even further the voice of artists by allowing them to easily create visual assets. So anything from a Spotify canvas to an Apple Motion Art to a full-on lyric video or a music video with, like, well shot and budgeted clips, high quality stuff, or you can bring your own clips and turn them into high quality clips. But basically, it takes away the boring, it takes away the technical aspect of editing videos so that the artist can focus on creation, on branding, on connecting with their audience, and with growing that pie, right? We know that, you know, through working with labels, through working with, you know, the majors as well as the independents, in a lot of countries, YouTube is the #1 source of revenue for labels, for artists, bigger even than Spotify. So there's a lot of artists. I mean, I speak as a Brazilian who understands the Brazilian music industry. There are some artists who don't even release music on Spotify. They release, like, shows, they release, you know, full, highly produced, you know, shows that are then condensed and edited as, like, DVDs or clips, right? Live shows. And they're fully on YouTube, and that's fully where they make their living, right? Their monetization through YouTube, partnerships with other brands, you know, that now you have this platform. And I think, like, I do also a bit of artist development consulting, and artist business consulting, and that's kind of the main thing I say. You're not a marketing executive for Spotify. So why are you trying to push people to Spotify? Like, why are you trying to send someone from Instagram to Spotify, from YouTube to Spotify? The idea,
So where would you send them?
To anywhere where your face is and you can control that conversation, whether that be email. If you want to say, let's say if I'm on Instagram, I'm going to advertise to push people back to my Instagram page.
But if they find you on Instagram and you're pushing them to, you know, to either your personal art, you know, but your artist site or whatever that may be, don't you at some point still want to push them, not push them, but have them, I mean, Spotify is where a lot of people are. TikTok is where a lot of people are. I mean, I've had people over the years saying, I'm not going to put my video on YouTube. I'm only going to have it on my website. And I go, start it out on YouTube, create a channel on YouTube, have people subscribe to your channel on YouTube, and then migrate them to your site. But if you're just going to put up a sign in the middle of the desert on the way from LA to Vegas going, here's my video, you're not playing Vegas and you're not playing LA. You're playing a truck stop somewhere in Baker, California.
Yeah.
You have to build the audience and then have them follow you, I believe.
That's exactly what I was leading to. It's like, I'm not necessarily pushing people to one place or another. I'm pushing them to more places.
Here. Wait a second. Dio's joined us.
I saw that. Hey,
you're
Dio.
Here. Unbelievable. I'm sorry.
No worries. Yeah, I'm starstruck myself. How's it going, Dio?
No, I mentioned him when he appears. It's like he's like Shaq when he was the genie.
Oh, mention that I'm going to win the lottery, please.
Love it.
No, wicked. I mean, I think I get your point, and I think like someone like Dio's
I mean,
done.
no, look, I had a client that was doing VR video, like not basically 360-degree videos. And I said, okay, well, let's meet with YouTube and talk about getting some promotion because they're doing some VR video stuff. I don't want to be on YouTube. We're going to have our own channel and everyone's going to come to us.
Yeah.
And I went, eventually, maybe, yes. But initially, not so sure about that one. So I agree that you need to own your data. You need to own your audience. You need to have them, you need to know who they are. All those things are true, but you can't ignore having your music, at least in the
No,
US.
it's
and
true.
on
And I'm
Spotify.
not saying that you shouldn't have your music on Spotify by any means. I mean, I've heard it from my own family, like, yo, this song's great. You should put it on Spotify so I can actually listen to it at a barbecue. I get that, like,
And make
and it's,
that
I
point
guess,
0.0003 cents per play. Go
but
ahead.
it's again, I guess that the point I'm trying to make is like, it's not about the 0.000003 cents. It's about
Right.
the person knowing that comes from you, and that's like, I want them. It's, I guess, to use your billboard analogy, instead of a billboard saying, hey, Paws Diners 3 kilometers down, take a left, or 3 miles down for you. It's just saying like, look how delicious McDonald's hamburgers are, over and over and over and over and over again. It's not McDonald's trying to get you to specifically go to a McDonald's location and buy one. They're just subliminally appearing in front of your face every single day until you make the decision, shit, I'm hungry. I'm going to go buy a delicious McDonald's hamburger. That's kind of what I'm saying. Like, yes, your shit needs to be everywhere. You need to reach people where they are. But at the end of the day, no one's going on Instagram to be like, let me discover some new music. Let me go on Spotify. No one's going on Spotify to see, let me go find someone's who makes funny videos. Like, you need to reach people where they are in the manner that
Right.
they want to be reached at that moment. So if they're on Instagram, they're there to see entertaining videos. If they're on Spotify, they're there to see your music. If they're there on YouTube, they're there to learn maybe something a little bit more in depth about your life or whatever have you. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, you're not marketing for YouTube or Spotify, or you're marketing for you. You're pushing people back to you. And yes, that should be on the platforms where they live. Like, you're not, don't have any misconceived notions. Like, you're not going to change the wheel, not overnight at least. But you change people slowly by appearing where they are and in the ways
Right.
that they want you to appear. And to me, I think for the artists that I consult with, it's like, it has to be their decision to listen to your music. That's how you make fans. It's not you telling them to go do it. It's them deciding, hey, I really like Ted. Oh, Ted just released a new song? Cool. I'm going to go listen to Ted's song. It might be crazy metal. It might be like in Indonesian funk, but I know Ted's a cool guy, so I know this is going to be a cool song. You get what
Well,
I mean,
that's
kind of?
I again, sounding pontificating. In 2008, I was on a panel in Tel Aviv, Israel, and talking about the fact that it isn't about how many songs you download. It's about discovering great playlists. Because in a great playlist, if there's 21 songs in the playlist and 6 of them are things I've never heard before, but they're surrounded by things I know, the onboarding of that new music into my brain is a lot better than click here to hear this new song, click here to hear this new song. But
Yeah.
if you create really elegant playlists where you've wrapped yourself, if you're a singer-songwriter and you've wrapped yourself in between Don Henley and Sheryl Crow, then I'm going, that was
Then you had
pretty
a
good.
great night.
And you had a great night. It was, it's funny. I had this discussion with somebody yesterday about Billie Eilish, and they said, who do you like? And I said, Billie Eilish is one of the artists, that in the last few years. I can tell you a bunch other. And they went, oh, you fell for the hype. And I said, I didn't know about the hype. I heard the song Bury a Friend in a playlist and went, wow, that's different. I did not go click on Billie Eilish, new artist. Let me hear what all the hype's about. I knew the backstory only after hearing the album a half dozen times. I went, so where the hell did she come from?
Yeah.
So hype is good, machine is good, setting up a record, all these, we talk about, the record failed because it wasn't set up properly, or it wasn't, debuted properly. Sometimes it's just the music might not be there. I agree that something might come out at the same time as something else and it gets overshadowed.
Mm-hmm.
But there was too much, I've said this on here before. One of the reasons Prince left Warner after I left Warner was he wanted to release new music every week. He didn't want to wait. He didn't want to finish an album in April and release it in September.
Yeah.
He felt the music was fresh, and by September, the music was stale. And so we now have this never-ending fire hose of new music on a daily basis. We can't assimilate one day's upload of new music to Spotify in the rest of even your lifetime. Forget my lifetime. I've got 2 weeks or something. But
I'm sure you'll find a way to upload your brain to the cloud and you'll live forever.
My son, everybody around me just says, please act your age. Ask Dio about that. He can tell you. Dio, do you want to pop up here with us for a minute?
Hell yeah, let's
He'll
go.
write back. Let's see if he writes. Oh, he's writing. Let's go. Zach, can you invite him up for a second? Because I think what I want to talk to him about is not what do you think of me, Dio, but when he first went to meet him, how did he navigate that?
Oh, that's wicked. Yeah, just while that's happening, I mean, Jordan, I see your message. So against marketing himself. Yeah, I get that too. Like, I guess in theory it feels dirty to be marketing yourself, right? But I guess that's what I do, and that's what I say to artists I'm consulting with. Marketing yourself is nothing more than just showing up.
Right.
That's it. You don't have to sell anything. You don't have to. This is marketing. Like, this is TED Marketing 101, and taking yourself seriously, but maybe not taking yourself that seriously,
Well, that's the thing. I did the worst panel of my entire career on Friday. It was horrible because the guy who invited me, it was me and a guy named Big Sid who had worked at CD Baby, and this guy, Jay. All he did, the whole panel, was tell the audience they should hire him.
Wow.
He's the moderator of the panel. And
Yeah.
he's going, your key to success is to, you should call me after this. Here's my phone. He kept flashing his phone number, his hashtag, his website address. He could have been selling steak knives. He could have been selling car polish. The woman from NAMM cut the panel short by 15 minutes. I went up to her afterwards and I went, I've never had a worse experience in my life. Hello, darling.
Yo.
Oh, stop doing the freezing thing. We know you're not frozen.
Yeah, if he's in LA, definitely not frozen. If he's in Toronto, it's plausible.
Oh, maybe he was frozen. I thought he was video. I thought it was a video. Anyway, I have people say to me, you moderated that panel. You never really say what you do. And I always say, if you want to check out my bio on here, if we want to talk later, I have a problem literally getting up and going, hi.
Yeah.
I'll talk about what do you do? How can I help you? Whatever. And somebody will say, everybody else on the panel will go, hi, I'm so-and-so. I do this and you can reach me here. And, I've never felt comfortable directly, going, hi, I'm Tag and I've been doing this for 40 years and don't listen to anybody else because I'm better than them.
I'm the best.
I do that into a pillow at night.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but you know what? I think that's the best way to TED to and that's kind of what I was saying when you were gone, and something that I, that strike me and I respect about you is you've got all this experience, knowledge, connections, what have you, and you are one of the rare people who don't beat others over the head with that. I think I respect that more than anything. Is there we go. Yeah.
Dio,
Now
you're
we
my
can't
son.
we can't hear you though. But it's like,
Dio,
the most badass people, just to
there we
wrap
go.
up. Like Bruce Lee will never walk around telling you that he could kill you with one punch, right? In the same way,
Right.
you're not walking around saying, "Hey, I'm Ted. I'm the fucking guy you should know in the industry." Like you just emanate that.
Here's where it comes back, and before Dio's, and it leads into why I invited you up. My thing has always been playing the long game. If I meet somebody, I don't care if they're somebody's assistant. I don't care if they're the receptionist in the lawyer's office. If they start talking to me about music or what they do or whatever, I'm in if they're good people.
Yeah.
If they're bad people, I don't care if they end up being president of Warner Music.
Yeah.
If they're bad people, it's like, don't be a dick. So
That's right.
this has been my whole ethos is.
And you can usually tell in music, you can tell when someone's a good person pretty much right away. And then the opposite is also true, man. And, something that I say about you, you're a great guy right away.
Thank you. But I was teaching last 2 weeks ago in Tulsa. In one of the signs of the end of the universe, I am a faculty member at the University of Tulsa.
Okay.
Which gets me a discount in the t-shirt store, and I can get into the card key access mini mart. Other than that, I'm not sure yet. But I called Hazel from SoundCloud.
Yeah.
Jessica from Audio Shake.
Dang.
Mark Freezer from Sync Summit. I got a friend of mine, Richard Karras, who's one of the senior executives at NVIDIA. I'm trying to think of, I had 6 people come and speak in my class via Zoom. Everybody showed up on time. Everybody took questions. Everybody was there for me because I feel I'm there for them. Leading into, I was explaining to Dio how we met years ago in the back alleys of the Croisette. Tell it from your side, because I want to hear your version.
I had known about Ted Cohen.
This is not supposed. No, I don't. This isn't a roast.
No,
Okay,
but
go ahead.
I had known who he was, and then I remember walking up to him. I think it was on the streets, walking towards the Martinez or the Carlton. Which, for those unfamiliar with Midem in Cannes, you have the big central area where everybody is during the day. And then people venture off to different events or showcases at night, and you just take this one street. So I remember going up to him and seeing him, because I'd seen him throughout my time there, and just talking with him, and then mentioning a mutual connection. And that really impacted him as well. Yeah, there you go. And so,
I took this picture at 4 a.m. It was you and your friend. It was you and your friend.
AG.
Rapping behind. Oh, yeah, here he is.
Hey, that's sick.
Yeah, I gotta send that to him.
Yeah.
So they're walking behind me at 4 a.m. rapping to me. And
That's
then when
awesome.
I said, "Hi, you guys are okay," Dio says, "Barron said to come find you and say hello." And it was Farron McKenzie, which I told them about.
Yeah.
And then I told them about, basically, that was the first time we met, and that was at least 10 years ago.
Yeah, it was about 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
Dang.
And then about 6 years ago, Dio stopped, as I explained to everybody before, I'm repeating, stopped me in the airport in Nice and said, "I want to play you a new song."
Yeah.
And it's been my ringtone ever since.
And you wanted to turn it off before the best part, Ted.
Yeah, I know. So the question we were talking about is, as your career has developed, how do you navigate walking up to somebody besides 4 a.m, which was fun, and just saying, "I need a couple minutes of your time. I think we should know each other."
Well, I think it's reps. I think it's the amount of times that you do it. And I know that myself, like a lot of musicians, are introverts. And I think people that know me just naturally assume that I'm an extrovert. But it's something I had to learn and something I had to develop. And places like Midem were great for that, because when I went out there the first time, I was by myself. And it was very overwhelming, because at that time you could have 5,000 to 10,000 people there. And if I just stayed in my own bubble, I wasn't going to know anybody. So one of the things that I learned from going to conferences is to just approach people. Like, I remember going to another music conference, and my friend had researched everybody, had told me, like, these are the key people. I was kind of representing them as a representative, not a full manager. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, what was that one guy's name? Okay, Ammo. I'm just going to go up to him, talk to him for a second, buy him a drink. And it's not the drinking of alcohol, but just connecting with somebody and having a drink with them, whether it's a coffee, whether it's an espresso, and not selling myself was the number one thing. Not having to say, I'm a rapper, I'm from Canada, I'm this, but trying to identify something that we have in common or something that had nothing to do with music that we could initiate a conversation with. And I found that to be a really effective strategy, because I think it's about getting the connection with somebody and then building on them with it. Nowadays, I do that through Instagram or through Facebook, so that when I see that person again, I'm able to say, oh, hey man, happy 10th birthday to your daughter. I just saw that a couple weeks ago. Oh yeah, I saw you were doing this. And organically letting the conversation grow from there. So really to build a friendship with somebody before asking for something for somebody, because too many times people just want to take, and find your contacts and use those contacts. And just as Ted, you mentioned there, when you're friends with somebody, you have no problem kind of sharing different contacts, because you're like, oh, like, Dio, you're going to love this person. They're going to connect great with you. And then when I speak to that person, they're like, oh, you know, Ted, like, and that person is like, oh, I'm so glad that Ted put us in touch. But if I
I'll give you an example. I had lunch with a guy on Friday who has a speaker company called Rocksteady. And at some point, I'm going to come on here and say, anybody who wants to buy some of these speakers, you get 25, whatever. I met this guy, a friend of a friend. He's got like a 4-person speaker company. And they're great. I pull them out. It's basically, now, I'll show it to you next. Well, let me see. I can get it here. Hang on. Do I want to do this? Let me dig under the bed here for a minute. It might not be beautiful. So I'm going to mute the camera, but I can still hear you.
Nice. Yeah, Dio, like I respect what you're saying. Like I kind of was bringing it up earlier, because it's exactly the advice that I would give like a young student, is like kind of like be yourself and get out there. Like a lot of the times we just need to get out of our own shell. But as a student, I remember that like thinking like, well, I don't want to just extract. Like I don't want to just ask for things, and I didn't feel that I had value to offer. Oh dang, is that the Rocksteady?
So this is 5 speakers, Rocksteady. This is 5 speakers in a carry bag that when you set them up, they automatically configure. They know where each one is. Left front, left right. Left front, left rear, right front, right rear, and a subwoofer.
Nice.
I met this guy through a friend, and he's been chasing me to work with him on helping him market his speakers. I had lunch with him on Friday at NAMM. He picked me up. He wasn't at NAMM. He picked me up on Catella there, right in front. We went to Chipotle, and I said, Jeff, I'm not a speaker marketing guy. I can evangelize these. I can post, I'm using these, I can whatever, but I'm not the speaker marketing guy. I'm not I haven't been in that trench. I said, let me find you somebody. Went back to NAMM when he dropped me off in the lobby of the Hilton there. And a guy walks in. His name is Carl Jacobson. He was at JBL. He was at Harman Kardon. He was at, he worked on Cakewalk, the software, if you're both familiar. And I went, I have a client for you. And I wrote an email, Jeff, meet Carl. Carl, meet Jeff. Jeff, at lunch, I told you there's somebody, I'll find you who's the person who can do this. Carl said, I said, Carl's the guy. And I talked to Carl later, and he said, so do you want a finder's fee on this? And I went, no. You can do for him. If there's something you run into that, you think it'd be good for me to get involved in, great. I didn't do it so that I'm getting 10%. I didn't book you, and I'm not your agent, and I don't want a 10% commission on this. I just, Jeff needs somebody to take this to another level, and I'm not the guy to do it. I may say to him, like I said, I was teaching in Tulsa. While I was there, I signed a lease for an apartment in Tulsa, and I'm going to be spending about half my time there. And I may call Jeff and say, I need another set of these speakers because I don't want to carry them back and forth between LA and Tulsa. I want, yeah, I know. Dio's rubbing his head going, yeah, how many pairs of speakers does he need? You know, it's just pay it forward. And it's playing, and I refer to playing the long game. Don't look for a quid pro quo on everything you do. You do something for somebody because it's the right thing to do. You know, if it comes back around, that's great. If it doesn't come back around, that's that. You know, I mean, Daryl and I have had this relationship where I've watched his back. Daryl Valentine from LyricFind, and Daryl Hirsch is a great guy. But Daryl Valentine and I have watched his, you know, I've watched his back and he's watched my back for years. I know he's there. I take a bullet for him. I think he'd at least say that somebody in the room has a gun before he left. But I don't want to run out of time. I'm going to go about 5 minutes over here because we can talk about relationships and everything another time. Dio, are you still in Canada?
I'm still in Canada, flying out to LA tomorrow.
Okay, so I'll see you Friday.
Sounds good.
Okay. What I want to ask both of you, and I'm not going to, I taught this course on AI and music in Tulsa for 2 weeks. Victor first, and Dio, you'll get the last word. What is your current feeling based on what you've played with, what you've seen, what you've experienced on the impact of AI and music? And I'm more interested in not the negative parts of it, but what are the positive uses of AI that you've seen?
Yeah, great question, man. It's funny, there is this kind of drama or this kind of fear in the industry. And you know what? AI is gonna change up. Like that's my overall, it's a game changer. But I've never been scared of AI as like a producer and a songwriter myself. Like AI to me is another tool that now I have as a producer to transfer like thoughts into song, into vibration, into sound. There is a lot of that lazy, like, first of all, the quality is really good. The Sunos, the Udios, it's all really, really good stuff. There is that there's that certain market of just lazy music makers who are not playing the long game, like you're saying, Ted, like who are just kind of like, how do I make a quick buck? And those people might make a quick buck, but they won't have the longevity of someone like Dio or someone who, you know, anybody who you can tell is here for the music, is here for what the music represents. Not a quick way to get money, because it's not by any means. It's a very expensive way to not really get money. It's more so a way of like connecting with other people. It's more so like I make music because I have something inside me that I need to yell, but I don't have the words to. Like it's just the sound.
So I don't play guitar. I don't play keyboards. I can barely sing. In the shower, it sounds good, but I think it's the tile. I've played with Suno and Udio, and I've created a couple little things, but Saskia is saying she wants originality and authenticity. Can you have originality, authenticity, and have work in an AI environment to create that? Because I think that's what people don't realize is if you have a melody in your head and you can start playing with, what if I move that around? What if I do this? It's almost, if you are, you know, a solo performer, you have someone to collaborate with. You know,
that's exactly how I think.
Alexa turns the lights off and on, but can you have authenticity in an AI environment?
Absolutely. I mean, I'll let you go. I've already said I've said my little spiel, but I think absolutely you can.
Dio, are you using AI at all to play with ideas?
Yeah, I think it's definitely great for ideas and definitely great, as you mentioned, as a collaborator. You know, I kind of felt like I found a cheat code a couple of days ago. I was telling my friend about it yesterday. She was like, "Don't tell this to anyone." And now here a day later, I'm sharing it with you. I'm a motivational speaker as well, and I'm just somebody who I journal a lot. And so what I started doing was putting my journals weekly into ChatGPT so that it would get to know me and my life a little bit more. And I love that because if I say like write a song about my family, it will say like specific names of people in my family and the impact they have. But what I did the other night was I put on a beat and I put on ChatGPT and I just started freestyling. And I was freestyling for like 5-10 minutes, sometimes I'd come back to like a chorus or a hook or an idea that I wanted to be that hook. And then I said, can you write a song on this? And they were like, braggadocio motivational style like Dio? Okay, let's go. Basically like that.
Yeah.
And then it wrote a song. And I mean, it's okay, but just for generating ideas, I found it was a great way to do that. And I think you can be authentic when you're leaning yourself into it. So if I had just said write a song about this, that's not the same as it kind of knowing my life and knowing everything that I've been through, and tailoring it to me, which helps spark my creative process, because obviously you're not getting the melody and the flow from an AI, but I'm just getting more engaged in the creative process, which is helpful as a songwriter, because, you know, Victor, as you're saying, like sometimes you just want that start to get going, and I find it a good way to jumpstart ideas.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think like the authenticity, it comes from the artist, right? Like it's the same thing as saying like, well, is it really authentic for you to write music if, you know, Beyonce, you have 32 writers on this song, you didn't even touch an instrument. Like, yes, what's authentic is the message. Like I just watched One Love, the Bob Marley movie, and it's just like so cool to see how no, the message is the music. You know what I mean? It isn't the message and the music. They're intrinsically linked, because as I said, music is the oldest human magic, the oldest human technology, the oldest way we know to tell stories, to tell, you know, warning signs, to spread our culture. And so the authenticity exists in that. The tools we use to create that music are going to ever evolve. Like ChatGPT is a great, like, you know, hey ChatGPT, what is this, like, are these lyrics dumb, like, or what does this sound like, whatever, you know, or help me come up with some topics, or like freestyling. I do this a lot when I'm on the guitar. ChatGPT, generate to me 10 SAT level words, and like I try to incorporate them when I can while I'm just playing, you know, and just riffing. Again, I'm not gonna I am not the type of artist to take whatever Suno or Udio spits out and be like, yep, that's my new single. Like, no, that's not going about it the right way. But I can use that. I can use those ideas. I can use a bass riff that I never would have thought of before. It's in the same way as I would be playing with a band, right? Again, it won't replace playing with a band. It won't replace that live, the feeling of sharing music from human to human, because nothing can replace that. As I said, that's our most human experience, is sharing music together. So no, it won't replace that. It will just transform the way we create. And now, like Ted, you were saying, oh, I don't play guitar, I've never touched an instrument. Now even those kinds of people can express themselves through music, can express themselves through, like, you know, hey, there's no words, but I heard this melody, I don't know how to play it, but I'm gonna try to hum it out, and then this AI is gonna turn it into a song. Cool, you've expressed yourself, like it started from you. And I think that's kind of my overall arching message, is like, AI is but a tool, and it's only as strong as the person using it. So if you are using AI with your heart, with collaboration and humanity in mind, yes, it's an amazing tool.
Okay. So operationally, because we're 5 minutes over,
Ted, I thought we were talking for 3 hours today.
We can do it. We can keep doing it. Is Rotor using AI to create the videos?
Yes and no. Like it's AI, not in the way that people imagine AI. Like Rotor does not have like generative music or generative images.
No, but in terms of editing.
But Rotor has, exactly. Rotor has what they've had for about 10 years now, which is computational power, which is now what we've referred to as AI. But it has a system that can smartly understand your song. It knows what is a good beat. It feels the beat, like the kick, the snare, and it knows when is a good time to transition from one scene to another. It can do all of that. Like I said, the boring technical edit. It can help you take your project from 0 to 70%, and then you as an artist should take it upon yourself to finish that 70 to 30%. But if you're happy with that, like it can output something that's really high quality, really well edited at the right time. It does leverage the machine learning, the computer power to put creativity at the forefront. The founder, Dearwood, who you know, He was a
Right.
video editor. He's a music guy, and he's like, look, I
Yeah.
find myself doing the same boring technical stuff for every video that has no impact on my creativity, has nothing to do with how I want to express this message. It's just about finding clips, cutting them at the right time, putting cool transitions, overlaying effects, and blah blah blah. Which is like, for a video editor, they love that, but we're musicians, like we're artists at the end of the day. We want quick. So that's where he's coming from. He's like, let me make something that will take away the boring technical stuff and allow me the room to be creative, which is what I want at the end of the day, which is what drives me, like, which is what builds my passion for Rotor. It's like, cool, these are people who understand me as an artist, the market, where it's going, and want to open up more time and ability for me to express myself. That's where tools like AI, Suno, Udio, GPT, Rotor itself, I mean, that's where those tools make the most impact.
Okay, so we're gonna wind this up. Dio's gonna get the last word. I'm gonna ask him a question. While I do, Victor, if people here and their friends, whatever they think, because it's a community, want to upload their lyrics to LyricFind or check out Rotor Video, can you type in? Oh, you're already doing it.
I am, yeah. I took
This
Dio's
is your
lead.
typing before I asked you the. You're an AI.
No,
So
no,
Dio, what are you doing?
That was Dio.
Yeah.
That was great. That was great. What you're coming to the Grammys? What's your weekend scheduled like at this point? What are you going to be doing? And why do you come down here? And why do we let you in?
I'm just gonna freestyle the weekend. You know, I'm in the Guinness Book of World Records for the world's longest freestyle, 8 hours and 45 minutes. And because of the fires and everything that has impacted LA, it's forced us to cancel our event, which was a mixer party on Saturday afternoon. And as you know, a lot of the events have been canceled. But some of my best times in Los Angeles have come just randomly. Driving in an Uber and seeing a movie shoot, getting out of the car, and then I was on the Entourage movie set and taking pictures with the guys. You know, just random things that have happened when I'm bumping into Kid Cudi outside the Roosevelt Hotel. So my strategy is going to be to hang out at the lobby bar at the Millennium Biltmore, because that's where I met a lot of really key people. It's kind of the Grammy hotel. So
Right.
I just want to come network organically and see some good friends like yourself. And
I'm only 4 blocks away.
Exactly.
I'm 3
Probably
blocks
breakfast
away.
on Friday.
Breakfast on Friday. You got it. Okay, everybody. And Victor, before I don't want to close it down before you post the Rotor video link.
I've posted some links. I've posted my Instagram handle if you guys want to connect personally.
You did.
Dio, I've connected with you as well.
Yeah.
Rotorvideos.com/Victor. If you could create an account there, I can track it and I can see. I could create some credits for you so you can make videos and test it out. And if you have lyrics, I put the email there, content@lyricfind.com. Send your lyrics there. We've got a team who are going to make sure that they're up. Jordan, if you have the metadata all kind of proper, you can send them before release. But after release is fine. Our team is very quick. And maybe after release will be better just to make sure it all kind of lines up with the metadata. But yeah, those are the three. Instagram, hit me up. Rotorvideos.com/Victor. Make your account. I'll get you some credits so you can make some videos and see how easy it is. And content@lyricfind.com for your lyrics. Thank you guys for your time. Ted, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, everybody, for staying.
If you ever need, I'm here.
Bye, everybody. Zach, as always, thank you for making this happen. And Daryl, I hope you're okay wherever you are. All right.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Dio, for jumping in. We'll see you all again next week for our live sessions. And then the week after, screen by screen, we got some amazing speakers lined up for that. So check it out in DIT. There's a space there where you can see the schedule and the speakers. And there's going to be a bunch more info coming out over the next few days. But thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your week.
Dope. Thanks, Zach. Thanks, Ted. Thanks, guys.